Go.
All right. Hello, everybody. Thank you for coming in, and we appreciate you here. Today, we're going to be talking about the healing. Let me introduce you again. My partner, for those who doesn't know, Paulina, and she picked up the topic for today, which is I'm very grateful about this, and we are talking about the healing triggers today. So without other ado, I'm giving the mic to Paulina, and she's gonna be taking over.
Hi, everyone. Welcome again. So, this idea of the topic came to us because we wanted to share maybe some tips how we are able to overcome the issues that are coming up because we are even in a relationship or not, like we are constantly healing. So, we kind of worked out a healthy way to progress on a journey with a person. So sometimes it's just not easy because we still have our triggers, and we just realize that everything can be solved when there is enough communication on both sides. And when there is understanding that another person is also evolving and another person is also growing. So, yeah, with this, like, we just have some observations how this, like, mutual understanding and communication helps to go to the next steps, even though sometimes there are some difficulties. But still, like, if, with the patience and really just understanding of other person's personal journey, that helps.
What I want to add into that is when you going so much through the spiritual journey in there, um, what actually helping us is we don't argue, we communicate. So if there is an issue, we actually mentioned that before. If there is an issue, we are looking at within each other the triggers, and we know what the triggers they were. We had to go through the exact same lessons that we got from the previous soul connections in there, and we were like, okay, this issue comes up again, and then this issue comes up again, and we look at it together. It's like, okay, I see what I did wrong, I see what it was wrong from before, and now we are both taking a little time off. Okay, we can call this like a mutual separation, like a miniature separations type of thing to look from within ourselves. But during all that process, we'll figure out things out, and then it's like, oh, I got it. I know what this is, and that's what goes, and that's how we are in the journey. And then we are able to healing the past. And the more traumas, the more dramas we heal from within, the relationship brings to a whole another level. It gets better, it gets more stronger. And then we have laugh with this. And this is what we wanted to kind of like sharing with you guys in there. And if you have any questions that we can be able to help you out more within your own journey there. Grande, thank you for coming in. Lorna, thank you for coming in. CF, Brother Rich, thank you for the support and thank you for coming in, guys. If you guys have some any questions to us for it, go ahead. And what I want to say, it is amazing when you, even today, we were talking about this mutual trust. And talking about the mutual trust is like, I know who she is, I know what she's going to do. At the same time, she knows, like, I know who he is, I know what he's going to do. And that healing process in there, it brings so much. It brings so much. It brings the level and different in there. And this is what kind of like I want to kind of like share with you guys. Hi, JCKPA. Thank you for coming in. And thank you for being present. Thank you both from Grande. All right, Grande, thank you. So I want to have Paulina sharing more about this, her view.
On that note, like I wanted to say that it's very important to recognize that you are ready to do your healing too. Like you're, because as Dia mentioned, like those experiences will be coming back to you. You know, those things that your triggers will be coming again from other people, from other situations. But it's at some point you have to do those things differently. So it's, if you want to change it, like you have to face it, and it's, of course it's easier to face it with the support of the partner. It's not always the case, but if there is another person that sees, okay, you want to grow, like you want to heal this, I can see that you see it as a trigger. I see that you see that as an unhealthy behavior that impacts both sides, and this person is able to do things differently, and that gives extra strength, you know, just to go through that, because you can see that the person is giving you space just to really step back and doesn't push, doesn't react from this anger or misunderstanding, or you're understanding that other person has to do things still on your own. Like even if your partner in your partnership or not, as a single person or not, you're still acting as an individual. And I think that's also important to recognize this, like importance of giving each other space. And it's not, it's interdependence, but in a healthy way, because you're still acting as a separate being and you're doing your part of the healing on your own. You don't see, drop the responsibility on other person because you finally found someone, you know, to be with. But it's a little bit tricky sometimes not to get lost in that, because like you still need to remember that you're doing your part of the healing within the connection too.
I want to add something very powerful. That is a actually the consciousness. The consciousness within both, in the awareness of the both, is like, oops, stop right there. Don't repeat the same mistakes. Give this in there. But it happens somehow, it happens mutual. So when the triggers comes in, when the issue it's coming in, we are both looking at it in there. But that awareness within the consciousness kicks in. It is a very healthy way, because that way you are not overacting, overreacting, and you look at the lower energies. So basically what happens is very interesting process to share with you guys. That is you're looking at, you're going down into the lower energies, but from a higher perspective. You're dealing with the lower energies, but from a higher understanding. And at that moment, you see what is the actual issue, what is the actual trigger, is coming and telling you to heal from within you, but also how this is going to be affecting the relationship. So basically, within the two individuals in there, the interdependence is so strong that it actually says like you two have to solve your personality issues for the we part within the interdependence and there. And when I'm saying that this is when we're talking about those issues, is like comes back later on when we are both ready and we see the both sides of the conflict, of the negative sides and the positive sides. We let the negative sides to purge out of our consciousness, of our subconsciousness, of way of process of thinking, and then the healthy, the very beautiful healthy understandings is entering the combined, the interdependence in there. And then one of the healthy part of the triggers, the learning, the process of the lessons is coming in there. Within the interdependence, it creates the relationship even more healthy. I mean, it's beautiful when you're able to work, because when you're able to work, that brings the happiness, the reality, the real things, the real deal, I would say, in there. And it is just beautiful there. So the more triggers actually we get, we're gonna get like, oh my god, another trigger. Oh, I don't want to deal with this, another problem. Not like the previous within the relationships. In the previous relationship, come on, you always have issues, you always have problems, you always complain, whining and moaning about it if you look at your old self. While here, it is like, oh, it's another issue. We have to look into it, see what it does. And we put just smiles on our face. It's like, okay, you go do your work, I'm gonna do your work, and we're gonna chat later. Let's see what we can find. Or the thing is, if you, let's say, if it's a weekend, we sit down and you both digging into the issue. But let me tell you, if you see us digging into the issue, I want to have Paulina sharing a little bit with that in there. It is fun. We are having fun.
Yeah, I think it's just if you recognize that it's for your growth, like you're doing it for yourself. And I think with this, I wanted just to remind and also note that we should not be afraid to just dig into those lower vibrations, because it's sometimes easy just to stay high as much as you can. But if you stay high, like you will just not able to work on those issues that are holding you back. So it's just we just realized like the power of those lower moods. You can you call it like lower moods, lower vibrations, those moments that you feel something is not right, and at the same time you don't want to put pressure in the connection, you don't want to put it out there, but there is some issue that triggered you from the past, and it's like, okay, maybe I should not destroying this peace that we have, but there is some issue that I don't feel comfortable in a relationship, for example, because that was some trigger from the past, and I'm alerted, and I need to share this, because like it's about like just sharing everything, because it's those kind of tiny things that we would even try to start keep for ourselves just for the sake of a peace within the connection. Like, of course, that it will surface at some point, because we would feel that we have to pretend something to, just to keep the peace, and, not to talk about uncomfortable things. But I think the whole beauty in the connection is like you're able to show your vulnerable side and say, like, I'm sorry, but something is not right. Like, I don't like the way you acted, for example, like why you reacted that way. Like it's it's still like, you're not accusing anyone of anything. You're not accusing your partner for acting the way he acts. It's more trying to understand what it happens, and just again treating someone as we are here on our healing journey. So just try to understand why those triggers are happening, and just talk it through. Like, don't be afraid of this uncomfortable conversations. Like, it's not always like super happy and easy. We just have to go to underworld sometime, even if it's uncomfortable. But it's just the lower you go and the lowest, like, those energies you're able to dig out, as much as you can grow as a reward. So that's why you just have to get rid of those. Like, those are some unhealthy things that are just holding you back on your journey.
Yeah, one thing I want to mention that when you get into that level of consciousness with partner, there is going to be some very key thing. The beauty of the connections, the peace within the connections, is going to lead you not to take the triggers personally. Why you're acting like this? So most of the time in the old ways, you taking the things personally. Like the other person, it's kind of like a hey, they're guilt tripping you or make you wrong or so on, and now you're like this reminds me of the previous way. Right now, you actually, one of the partner point triggers issues or situations inside of it. Why is that? And you're like, I gotta look inside of me, but can you help me to tell me what that could might be, so I can look within ourselves? Because I respect for our connections. Maybe there is something I do wrong, or maybe there is a misunderstanding. And let me tell you, the beauty of the healing of by using the connections inside is helping the both individuals. It helps with this, but the connections itself, that beautiful power connections within the divine, the inner peace, it brings that you not to taking things personally, because you value the connection more than you value your triggers. when you value more shadow, when you value your ego more, there is no more ego in there. You're here together, both together, walking together within this beautiful journey that creates even the connections better and better with more triggers. But escaping the triggers, though, that is not the answer. And you're gonna know, and both of the partners will know, escaping the triggers is nothing because all it does is harming the connection within. So the beauty of this, guys, it is your ability. You will understand the ability within the both partners when are they doing this. This is a whole another level of consciousness, of awareness, of maturity. I will call this like, I mean, because putting labels sometimes is not good, but talking about like spiritual maturity, some sort. That energy of spiritual maturity is gonna be walking within, and that is a developing with the divines in there. And you understand, you appreciate the divine that did that connections, and you value the connections in a whole new level of understanding. And it's beauty. I mean, it's beauty. So, darling, if you have anything to add on that.
Yeah, I think it all comes down to one thing. Just if there is something that feels uncomfortable for you, and it's for all the connections, honestly, not just divine partnerships or twin flame connections. It's just speak your truth. And if you're not uncomfortable, like, you have to respect yourself. Like, you have to respect your needs, or I don't want to say preferences, because that's not the proper word to use here, but more like your soul's need. Like, if something doesn't feel right, it doesn't feel the proper way, that doesn't feel right, there is a reason for that, because there is some dissonance, between what your true path is and what's the current state. You have to sacrifice something, or you feel like you have to compromise too much, or maybe there's just something that is unhealed from the past. So I think that's just a small note on here.
Yeah, talking about you're not doing the compromising thing anymore. You're not like, I'm going to keep quiet so I can have the relationship. You're understanding that by doing this, you're harming the relationship. Because that shows up some kind of like, I would call it kind of like dependency, feels like it. Because if I do what I do, I'm going to create so much problems or issue within the connections. While actually this, it shows up the power with in the connection in there. That maturity there is there. Because if the one person doesn't say what he needs to say, unspoken, then that war from the one person, it felt within the other, and the other's like, okay, what's going on? What's cooking in here? All right, and
And I think,
yeah, go ahead.
it's one thing is, that's also for you to see what kind of person you're dealing with. Like, because the reaction, once you start talking about uncomfortable things by on your own, like, just open up as a first person, you can see the reaction of the other person. Like, like what's the answer? Like, what is the reaction? Like, was there anger, or was the person understanding towards you and say, okay, like, let's talk it through? So I think that's also one thing to be mindful, when you're dealing with connections, just to see how the other side is reacting and taking those uncomfortable moments.
Yeah, I want to add. You said the key word there, vulnerability. Vulnerability is a very, very powerful tool used by both, because vulnerability, first of all, it is you to be vulnerable within yourself, for yourself first, but then that vulnerability within somebody else, and then that somebody else is vulnerable in the same reciprocity. And that vulnerability creates this healing even more better, because you know where the person been, you know what's going on inside of it, within them, within the connections, and so on and so on. But usually you find that when the two people currently working together towards that common goal, in there, the vulnerability develops the trust. And let me tell you that the trust later on, it is actually creates this unifications. That's what the union is based out of it, of the trust of what we are, but we also what the other person, their personal powers are. And the more the personal powers growth, the more the interdependence, the unifications part within the connections is growing. That connections, the spiritual connections that it comes in, it reflects down the road within the connections itself and then into the what everyone knows it's called the relationship in there. But the spirituality itself is bringing more and more peace after every trigger is healed in there. And you're gonna find some points that maybe the triggers are coming in here and there. But it's very interesting. Something I want to share about this is like when you're in the journey and you never faced certain triggers with you or within your partner, within the relationship, you're gonna be both looking at into that. And when you both looking at into that issue, guys, let me tell you, you're gonna have one of the biggest fun in the world. You're gonna have a very much fun with this. All right, get back to you, darling.
Maybe on the power of vulnerability. Again, it's just when you're able to express your like softer side, and you don't feel like you don't have to pretend. Like there's one unique thing that happens because you start feeling this freedom in your relationship. So personally, like for me, that's very important part because I was having slight doubts about if I will not compromise too much going into relationship when I already have my life, I have my independence, and am I ready to share that independence or maybe to sacrifice my freedom? Like I had a little bit distorted view on relationship, I have to admit. But right now I can see that when everything works a healthy way, you're still having your freedom. And at the same time, you have all the benefits that comes from the healthy partnership. So I think with this, we, the thing I've learned, like when you balance out your needs, your personal needs, and your personal need for growth, you can still maintain your amount of space that you need within a relationship. And it doesn't have to be like relationship or freedom or personal freedom. Like you can just combine it and really feel safe in a proper connection. You just have to be in a position that you don't have to compromise anything for yourself. So at some point, like you just have to stand for yourself. Just work out your balance and just not to be afraid to speak for yourself, just for the sake of, oh, I'm better not touch this topic because it can get muddy. So I think it's just really important just to kind of try to work out your part of the freedom that you need within the connection.
Talking about freedom, guys, I'm gonna share with you right now here. The beauty is when you give a freedom to your partner. It's the same way that your partner gives you that freedom. That is not like you losing your partner. That is not like you really depend on your partner. The partner is going away, or the partner is this, or the partner is that. You're gonna be feeling all that within you when you do give freedom to your partner. You need to understand that when you're in a healthy way of within your consciousness inside of it, the more freedom you give to your partner, the more they're gonna love you, the more you're gonna be loving them. You give freedom of the love to be the way it is. There is something magical in there. There is something divine in there with all this. Because you're not suffocated your partner and you're not suffocated your partnership, your connection. but also that ultimately reflect within the partnership, within the relationship. And the ability that she gives me the freedom to me, and the ability me giving the freedom to her, creates the connections even more stronger. Does not make it like oh, if they left, or if they this, or if they that. All that is going away because the mutuality of the trust is there. And it's, yeah, it takes a lot of inner work. Let me put it that way. But when you do that inner work over the time, that is going to be paying off, because you're going to have this tranquility, serenity, peace, and the both souls are happy within the mutual soul connection. And so is the divine. It is like, sometimes you may gonna feel like I lost the connection with divine, or I lost connection with the partner, I lost these energies, I'm going within the lower energies. But one thing remains constant. That is a internal piece of the soul that says like, don't worry about it. It's only a work. You're gonna see the triggers, you're gonna see the situations, you're gonna find a healthy way, and you're gonna go back home. And you know what? Every time when we do this, when we healing all that, when we go back home, the beauty is priceless. So
Yeah, I think you touched on the right point about losing connection with the divine. Like, I think at the beginning of relationship, if things are intense and there are lots of conversations, and there is there is a risk, like tiny risk, that you can put too much towards the connection on a personal level or on this like earthly level, but you keep losing connection with yourself and with the divine. So I think this is also, it takes time, honestly. I think it's, if you're ready to do this, to do your work, and you're patient with yourself, like you can just regain it, but you just have to remind yourself that it started from the divine, like, and the divine energies were brought two of you together. So you have to maintain this connection, because otherwise, like, it will not work. That helps, those energies help to navigate the whole process in a healthy way. So whenever, and it's, I think, the responsibility of each partner, you have to take care that you have a proper connection with yourself, your true self, because otherwise, again, like, you would feel like you're compromising something, and there is, things will start getting out of balance, because you will not feel as complete as you were before entering the partnership, or before entering the connection. So I think that's our own responsibility to maintain it, keep it under balance, and just to monitor that from time to time. If things are getting a little bit off, or you feel, oh my god, like, I don't feel the connection to energies again, then you can go back to however you feel more connected to, whether like meditation or just going for walks. Like, there are many methods, but just to remember that that's important part in all of this.
yeah, two key points I want to point out to you guys. Number one, when you get into a healthy connection, you're gonna have one thing as an understanding. Is like, I'm gonna be with this person because I understand I can go in this journey of healing the triggers, because I don't want to repeat the same things over and over with another person. Because here I have the mutual understandings and soul. Okay? And another key point up here that what Paulina said, it is about when you go in a side tracks, or you get kind of like you're losing the connections with divine, or you're losing connection with the partner from within yourself, you're gonna find something that the things that comes in during those moments, they're not coming from your consciousness. You're fully consciousness. You're aware of your connections. You're fully aware of the things that are sneaking in you about getting you and the disconnections. Those are the things under the rock. Those are the things on your subconscious. And when you go out for a walk, or you go take out a shower, or you're going out for the meditations, you're going to understand. It's not you. It's your subconscious. It's your these patterns that are being piled up from generations and generations subconsciously inside of you. And you're gonna begin, because your consciousness now is more healthy, it's more clean, you're gonna begin to heal what? The subconsciousness inside. Because the subconsciousness is expanding, and the subconsciousness is coming to you to go ahead and expand. And that expansion comes in when you both fix those triggers, and then your consciousness actually is more happy, more beautiful, and you both expanding both your consciousness, guys. And that expands the love within the soul itself, within the soul connections itself. And it creates a very beautiful, but monitoring yourself, as Paulina said, that is a very beautiful. If we both monitoring ourselves, it's like, okay, what is it going on with this? What is it going on with that? But we're not hiding the things. And talking about these connections within the soul, within experiences, within the energies, they are much more healthier. At some point, we were on the journey, and it's like, you, what was our connection, Paulina? What is this connections? This never happened before. So we have to go ahead and do some research on a healthy relationships to see it, because it happened naturally. And you want the things between you and your partner, guys. Please, I'm begging you, allow these things to happen naturally. Don't change yourself because of your partner, or don't force yourself because you want your partner to be in some way. Believe it, the triggers, the healthy way of feeling the triggers, or something that needs to be healed, is going to be happened in its own way, the natural way, on the divine time, with the divine support and the support from your partner and the both sides, guys. I mean, Paulina, if you have something to say, I want to just say one thing. Glad CJ, thank you for coming in. Erica, thank you for coming in. Twin Flame Power, Sonia, thank you for coming in. Erica said, I'm a long time happy to see the triggers as something my TF shows me what to heal, and when we're together, not more have the issue between us. Great, great. Hey VJ, thank you for coming in. Glad to see you here. So, yeah. If you guys have some
Yeah,
any questions, you guys also can write it down. We can look at it for it. But
yeah, questions would be helpful because that will help to navigate chat better. But if not, I wanted to talk about one more thing. It's just not to be afraid of opening up. It again ties to the vulnerability part, but you have to be courageous. You know, you cannot assume that your partner won't understand, because some people are like, I don't like it, but I won't even tell because he won't understand, because all throughout our connection he never understood. But sometimes I just recognize people don't even try because they assume that some people think this or that, or he or she won't understand. But honestly, like, until you try, you don't know. So it's just sometimes without expectations, you have to just do it for yourself, you know, because you don't want to hide anything. Like, if you're supposed to try to build a healthy relationship, you have to try on your own. And very often it's like you are supposed to make the first step. You cannot like expect that the connection will just become natural. Like, someone has to be the first one to open up, to make the first step. Like, of course those things happen naturally, but we cannot put the responsibility on another person. I think if you are conscious and aware of the connection, you're just taking responsibility to just build it a healthy way, to start building it a healthy way, and just also help to navigate that the proper way. So just maybe be okay and be courageous enough just to speak your truth.
yeah, that's actually a very beautiful point, because through our connection first was in the spirit that comes down and bring that peace, that blessings inside of it, and so on. But when that happens to you guys, you're gonna understand this natural courage is gonna be coming in because of that. You have the courage to do all this because you know where are you heading. You heading when your soul and your partner's soul, they're both in this tranquility, internal peace energies inside of it. But you have to have the strength to recognize this, okay? Because as she said, some of the people have this I don't want to say the word weaknesses, but have these assumptions, and in the base of that internal assumptions in there, it's missing the link going towards the courage. And this is why understanding both masculine and feminine energies, when to use them, how to use them, that is it's gonna maybe take your time. You may be gonna make mistakes. If you make a mistakes, congratulations. Nothing is perfect in the world, but the mistakes, let me tell you, they're part of success, guys. They're the part of success. It doesn't matter how many times. And you're going to understand that in the connections in there, is like, I did mistakes before, but I won't repeat them anymore. I do this. Even if I make mistakes, I'm okay with it because my partner understands my mistakes, because I understand his. And this is a healing those triggers in there within. So that's what I wanted to add. If you guys have so many questions, you guys can write it down, or something you guys may need some help with it in there. Vijay, whenever I share my insight and experience with my TF, she goes silent for a few months. It happens twice. Vijay, sometimes if the people you're sharing things, you're vulnerable with them and they go silent. That means there is a lot of fear within them, that they cannot process that fears. You can look at it two ways. You can look at it that maybe they see you weak and you're codependent on them, and they're like, you need to learn to be dependent, grow up, mature. I don't want to talk to you. I'm going to be silent. Or they can do other side when you point out the issue and they're like, I cannot fight with this issue. I'm not open. I'm not ready for vulnerability. I cannot deal with this issue. I'm just going to be silent, which is also linking into the assumptions there. Good side of you that you share your insight from within. That shows up that you are ready for being vulnerable. And congratulations to you on that point. But you have to understand, from the point of partnership with this, you have to look the two ways. And that is the healthy communications, the healthy things. It happens from within. If you don't have a healthy relationships, if you don't have healthy communications, you're going to find out that the things that you have to do is learn to let it go and work deep in within you to mature, you to evolve from that. I mean, Paulina, if you have something to add.
Yeah, I think it's in those situations, it's like, again, we have to respect that some people need more healing, and sometimes it happens that we will have people in our life on a regular basis, but if not, like, we have to be okay with that. And meanwhile, just focus on our work, because it's just, obviously those connections cannot be forced. Like, if anything, it's always timed properly. So if there is a reason that two people don't go together, they have to separate, or there is disconnect between them, it means that there is a reason for that. So I think with this, it's just, okay, we are in separation. That's okay. We need to do some more healing on ourselves, because you don't want to bring those things into the connection right away, because there are some parts of the things that can be healed within the relationship, but some part of it cannot. Like, some of the lessons we have to learn, like responsibility, taking care of responsibility for ourselves, or because then that's what you're bringing into the connection. So I think I see this kind of separation phases as always, we are having so many upgrades when we go through the separation phase. So it's a very good starting point once you get connected, because you will get connected to the right, maybe to the same person, or to other person who is even more right at that current moment. So I think it's just the whole process of the separation is just to prepare you as best as you can, because you cannot get to the perfection, but it's just keep working on yourself, because that's the way I see it. Like when those separations happen, that's the universe giving you a space to really work on yourself and to get to the best point you can get. And then it's at that moment, like you're perfect with anything that's coming to you, and you will at the same time, since you got inside, like inside of you, and you're working on your masculine, you're working on your feminine. If you get those two together, of course, like divine energy starts to flow just for you. You know, you are building this very healthy connection, and then at some point, of course, like divine will be leading you right, your path. So I think that's also important, just to, if you're giving this chance, just really appreciate it, just to try to see it as your time to really regain your powers and just get those divine feminine and masculine parts in yourself into one, to allow those divine energies to flow properly. Thank you.
I was about to say thank you. Just yeah. That's how it works, guys. We're just giving you an example and hopefully getting it from that standpoint. CF, a couple has to decide to be a healthy together. Healthy questions. Uh, exactly, the healthy questions are right there. Why do you act like this? Where you got triggered? Why are you doing this? Why are you pointing these issues to me? Why are you getting into that? Why that? Those are the questions, guys. But you have to have the courage within a healthy relationship to ask about it. Because the healthy partner is gonna comes in and understand, okay, what is the situations in there uh, from this. And yes, it's gotta have a healthy connection, healthy questions together. How can we maintain our healthy relationships? Actually, the maintaining of the healthy relationship it's coming from the internal peace of the soul, where the love is alive, is there. Um, that strength, I would say, more proper, is within life, within the spirit. And that strength within the spirit empowers the two souls at the same time to have that spirituality acting within the mind, within the personality. And now the personality is actually acting on the spirits and the soul energies into the divine. This is what a lot of the people are missing in there for. But when you do this, is actually you find it is beauty. There is a beauty within all this process. You're going back into the source. You go back into the state of paradise. You're going back into these energies in there. And how can we maintain our healthy relationships? Is actually a natural process because of the love within there, the love within the soul, within the spirit, the bliss that we have, that peace that your soul is at peace. You're not in a war within you. In your higher consciousness, in your higher self, you don't have the wars anymore. Okay? And you only have a wars within what? In the lower self, the process with the mind, the triggers that unhealthy patterns and so on. This is why when you go down from a higher perspective into the lower energies, you're doing it, the things proper. And it's beauty. It's beauty at the same time. The whole process is beauty. If you got it tied up to the Bible, that is the Jacob's ladder. The angels goes up to the source and they comes down into to it. It's very beautiful moments in there. But CF, yes, exactly. But that happens naturally. What must we do to not step in our mutual respect for each other to be the we, act on it as acted, and the we part is stronger. Yes, natural strong. It's not forced, guys. It's freedom. The we part is not forced. It's nobody keeps the relationships. We both maintain it naturally. This is the beauty of that energies. Uh,
Can I just add something
yes,
on that?
sure.
I think it's important just to make sure that both people are on the same page, that both people want to work on a common relationship, that it's not like one person is sharing and then it's just throwing things at the wall, another person doesn't respond, because it just, and again, like you, if those situations happen, because they may happen, like you can maybe share with someone and you made yourself vulnerable and that person runs away or doesn't listen or start getting angry, those things will happen, but it's just, it's not your fault, it's nothing wrong with you, it's just okay, it shows you like where that person stands, and we have to respect that. Like we need to give people time to heal, we heal in different pace, but that's how you recognize, and that's how Rich made a good point, like we have to do, you have to see that we are working on that as a partners or as a couple. It's like okay, we both want to put into that, because some people have problems because they want to work on a relationship, they start this uncomfortable conversations, or at the beginning they're uncomfortable because they are new, and then the partner doesn't want to talk about it, and then it ends on one conversation. So it's like sometimes it takes a bit of maybe patience, maybe just try to understand better the partner, or maybe just the partner has so many things to heal on themselves first that they are just not able to open up. So it's really important to see, okay, where are we standing, are we ready yet just to do those things like as a couple, as a strong couple, or we still have to heal some major things and look into ourselves.
Very beautiful point in there because that shows up the value of both individuals about a connection, the value of the we part, and that value it is what drives the connection. What getting in there instead of have this I, we have the we in there, while you keep your I inside of it. And this is why there's healthy boundaries in the whole thing, the whole process, the whole healthiest is that you choose naturally. You choose the we part, and it's very beautiful. So happy you guys are giving this example. Thanks, Rach. You saw it firsthand. Thank you. Thank you so much, brother. Erica, I begin to experience some beautiful beyond TF connections, like union things. We feel it energetically and give conscious each other. That's right there. You give consciousness to each other. You give first. You have to give the freedom within the consciousness within yourself about the other person, but then you have to do it. You know, there was a times, for example, like you know, there was a triggers like from the previous connections and so on, and she had expectations me to react like the previous connection. Boo, I don't act like that. I act in a different, mature way. And she's like, what happened? Where does that come from? And I'm like, I reacted like this before. I don't react like this anymore, darling. I'm getting my proper masculine energies. Let me explain why. And I give her a feedback. That feedback, guys, when you heal yourself and give the feedback into your partner, heals the partner as well, because they see that expectations that was there, it wasn't healthy. They see a different example by action, and when she sees that actions from my side, that I didn't react the way was from previous, because the same situations is gonna go. You think that when you get in a connections you're gonna go through a different stage? Put that out of your head. You're gonna be repeat and tested on everything you know when you're getting in a connection. Everything. You're gonna go through the whole 9 yards. Okay? So before you go back there and doing a touchdown in a football, if I have to talk about it, you have to go from the one side of the field to the other. There is no escape out of that. But the beauty is there that when you change or when your partner change and they bring that information to you, that is a mutuality with the healing. That is the mutuality of the healing and the triggers. So, giving you key points. Hopefully, you guys, that's gonna benefit you. And you, darling, have something to say?
Um, I think on the one thing that adds when we are going through those healings and just doing things even first on our own and then sharing with our partner, it also gives us this impression that we know the person that we are with. Like, okay, we're kind of like piling up those deeper layers, layer by layer, because like if you go into any connection, you have two choices. Like either you will start feeling uncomfortable and you will want to switch to another connection because that will be your mechanism, protective mechanism, or you will decide to go deep with one person. And that's for some people, that's the choice they have to make. Am I able to just put aside all the other people, other connections that could be maybe after, or I decide to stop and just to build one healthy connection, just really go deep into that and just try to learn and understand the person you're with, because that brings you this stability, that brings you this peace, and that brings you this kind of trust. Like, okay, he's not going anywhere, like she's not going anywhere, I can start feeling safe within this connection. But to do that, like we have to build it, because like we as a humans, like we need to feel like we are always afraid of the unknown. So the more we are just putting subconscious into our conscious level, so the more we are able to understand our partner and understand those subconscious behavior that he or she has. Like it brings us this understanding. Okay, I know who I'm dealing with, so it makes me safe. Like I know how he acts, but I know why he acts like that. So it doesn't scare you, or it doesn't create any misunderstandings anymore, because you can understand when person acts, you can see, okay, he acts like that because of some of the things that happened in the past, but I can see he or she is working on that. So this is the first step always when you're doing healing by yourself or just within the connection. I think it's just when you start making those subconscious pattern conscious, like that's the power, because like that's the first step honestly to try to heal them, because like once you recognize them, okay, that's like half of the work is done, because then you don't act as a like a robot, you don't act those things out, you're just really mindful. Okay, that's unhealthy, like I don't want to do that anymore. So it's just really this power of just getting to know a person more and more and more, like that's the whole and it never ends. So basically that's also that brings another value into the relationship, because it gets interesting. It's not like, is that it? You feel like it never ends, and you can just learn about each other so much, and not only about each other, but you're just learning about yourself too.
Yeah, I was about to add that part that it's so interesting that the more you learning the other person, the other side, actually, the more you begin to learn yourself. The reciprocity of give and take, I gotta tell you, the reciprocity there is just the beauty of the value, and because it's mutual, it's not like I demanding something from her or I want something from her or anything. Sometimes like if like I feel like we only talk for like a 5 minutes and I want just a little bit more. I'm like, no, 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 darling, you have to go do your things. Let's keep the balance in there. We feeling when we disbalance some of the stuff. It's kind of like too much. You want more, or you want things in there. But through understanding the other side, you understanding more about yourself. And at the same time, the other side understands you. They understanding more about themselves. And this is like Paulina said, it doesn't have end. But you know what does to the connections, guys? The love never ends that way. You want to get it into that love that lasts forever. You feeling it every time when the more healing has been done, more triggers has been done. the love gets more better and better and better and healed in there. All right, CF, can you talk about the courage of letting things go within a relationship? Um, the courage of letting things go. It's got to be a little bit more specific. If you can give us something about it, because this is kind of like a in general, uh, but you cannot control the other person. You have to let things go and the other person to find things on their own. You may push a trigger. You may push their trigger. It's like, hey, maybe you're acting so much like this, or maybe you assume too much, or you presume too much, or you're too naive, or whatever the thing is in there. But you have to learn of letting go. If you, for example, if you are in a healthy relationship, if you are in a relationship currently at the moment, and your relationship is stagnations, is situations, no communications, there has been no more things in there. Where is your evolutions on that? You will understand at some point you may have to let go totally out of the relationship because it's unhealthy pattern. It creates more damage. You're looking for a relationship where you want to be healed. You want to be the person heals you, but you also to heal them mutually. You to have a healthy relationship. There's gonna be a point of view that you don't want to date nobody. You don't want to deal with nobody. It doesn't matter if they are twin flame, soulmate, anything. You just don't want to deal with that. But you do want to deal with healthy relationships. The moment you choose that, you want the healthy relationships, you begin to work on your healthiness from within yourself. And that attracts the healthy parts that are inside of you. And if you're in an unhealthy relationship, the healthy relationship is actually going to bring the connections within you up. And you may have to let go of the old relationship, whatever that is. But
I
yeah.
think it's not necessarily about letting go of the relationship. I think we're just more asking about if there are things you don't like about your partner, like how to deal with that. And I can try to give an example because we had a very good personal example here. Like we were trying to put our preferences towards like the way we see each other, and of course like we have our, I don't want to say expectations, but let's call it expectations for now, that we do things certain way, and that's our ideal, that's what we think is right for us. So of course we would be expecting the other person to do the same thing. And it's, sometimes you may feel that you're doing it out of care because you care about the other person, but at the same time you have to remember, aren't you trying to program the person the way you think is proper? And we were going through this. There was a situation that I was not completely agreeing the way like Gio was doing within his personal life, and I was trying to, I don't want to say change, but kind of providing support and guidance what could be changed. And Gio started working on the issue, but honestly, it just ended up very well. Not very well. It ended up very bad because things started getting out of control, even energetically. Like we were both getting. I remember clearly. Like I was started getting sick around that time, and they put me in bed for like 3 days, and they gave me this. Like there was a lot of healing that happened at that time, but at the same time we had this kind of like separation phase from us because like I was not able to even make calls, and we were just kind of, Dio was going through his stuff during those 3 days, and we were thinking like what happens, like, and then at some point like Dio got some message. I don't remember if that was vision or he can explain, but clearly the message was, oh, you were trying to change your partner, and why don't you accept your partner the way he was created, the way he got connected to you? So that was really the message. So I would say all of that, it just taught me, I may have the perfect vision how I want to take care of myself, but the health and all this like condition of your partner. This is his responsibility or her responsibility. Like we cannot interfere with that. And that was a very interesting and pretty hard lesson that I've learned. Like we cannot make other people change, even whether it is from care. Like person has to realize those things by on its own, and in the right time with right energies, he's gonna make the proper change, because that's what we started to trust. And it's like, okay, that was not the right time to tackle that, because not only I was trying to subconsciously change him, but also he was trying to create himself in a way that he's not, like trying to pretend someone he is not, because they kind of change him according to my vision or ideal vision. So that's, I don't know, you can add something to that deal, but that was very interesting to see and
That was
experience.
a very good point. We learned, actually, we learned something with all this. And the whole process is like when you're in a relationship, like you're trying to change your partner, okay? And when the partner is not ready, but because of the partner is like, yeah, I see the benefits in there, see the situations, I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna go ahead and do my best as I can. But I wasn't ready to do it really inside of me, but I understand the value. So I pushed through it. But through the push through it, I was forcing myself. It was not naturally. And the process of subconscious from within her about the whole situations, it was not naturally. So we both got slapped. And we were wondering what happened with this. You feel it that when the things are forced within the connections, that was a very beautiful example with this. To, personally to us, this is how when you make a mistake, you learn. And this is why I'm guys, do things. Make a mistake, you won't learn it. But the power of the connections is gonna be there. Okay, because the whole period of time, our souls wasn't at peace, but our energies and everything else wasn't. There was this stagnations, there was this pressure, and begins to affect the physical parts inside of us. And like, oops, we need to do something up here. We we need to go ahead. This is some big issue. And guess what? The big issue is to accept the partner the way the divine made it for you. At that current moment in time of space when you met, you accept the person with all the pluses, minuses in your preferences, like it or not, because you accept the person with the divine the way it is. End of the game. The marriage has been done. It's been sealed and approved by divine. Poof. And you're trying to change something in there. That is one of the biggest mistake people does in their relationship. After they get into the relationship, it's like, I'm gonna twist him a little bit, or I'm gonna turn her a little bit. I'm gonna add this a little bit. No, you can't. Things happen naturally. The natural path of healing, guys. Because
Also,
one of,
another point,
yeah, go ahead.
um, at the same time, we cannot change ourselves into someone we are not, because I also made the mistakes in the past that I was trying to make myself the way, like I didn't feel comfortable, but it was, I kind of felt that expected from the other side. So I was trying, I tried to reprogram myself or just make myself not the natural way for me. So it was, at the same time, I was trying to make myself this ideal version that was in the head of that person. And at the same time, I already felt that, oh, this is not, doesn't feel right. Like I'm trying to pretend someone that I'm not. So it's like, really, you just have to act as you are. You just don't try to pretend anyone. It's just, if you do that with the strength, you're just not only do it for yourself, but you just give your partner the chance to see you how you really are. Like you don't have to pretend anything. So he knows also who's he is or she is dealing with. So this is also like, you don't want to trick anyone. You really want to go with this sincere place into the relationship to see, okay, that's me. Like let's work it out. Like can we work it out like the way we are, or just to begin with, because otherwise, like, we don't know who are we dealing with.
Yeah. Can you give love to the positive and perceived negative things about your partner? Uh, you actually create balance. You will understand that the balance is going to be the biggest key in there. Why would you not like somebody? Why you don't like it, certain things, or so on and so on? What if you have preferences? Who told you about those preferences? Where are they coming from? From the lower ends? And you're going to understand the values inside of you at that point in there. Because the connections, the value of connections is more precious than any other silly little things that the ego can find in your subconscious at that point. And you're gonna laugh on some of the things. Let me tell you, you think you're not gonna have fun? Oh, you're definitely gonna have fun with doing and this. But talking about can you give love to the positive and perceived negative things? You give love into the both things because you're discussing the both things with your partner. Because during the discussions, the positive thing and the negative things, you look at it, the things from the new perspective, the new energies that comes in. It builds the relationship, and you're looking at the old paradigm, the old programming, and you're like, what is this? Go junk go. That's what we say. Okay, we have that term here, go junk go, and you would take that junk from our consciousness of our process of thinking and throw it away. And just in case something happens in there, we are both like, remember go junk go. Do you remember this? Oh yeah, right. And you take an additional part. If you have not clear your subconsciousness in there, but you cannot, you learn to love both. You learn to both the positive and the negative sides. Okay? If the negative sides are needs to be addressed, okay, they're gonna be addressed. But if you think that the negative side doesn't have positive effects within the relationships, there is no good and there is no bad. The balance inside, in there, because sometimes I'm a too positive. I'm a too yeah. Let's go, let's rock, and she's like, wait a minute, you need to do this, this, and this, and Dio takes it like negative. It's not negative, guys. That is what our subconscious was taught to be. She's like, Dio, come down on the earth, you know. Uh, come back here. You're flying too high. That's what the beauty of the partnership is. Let me tell you that I admire her about that ability inside. So she puts me on that state of balance in there. Okay? It is the same thing I do with it. It's like, okay, don't stay too much on the ground. How about let me take you higher? Let me show you things in a higher perspective. So we're balancing all this. So there is no positive and negative in there. But we love the process. We love the process.
And sometimes maybe one more note, like sometimes it can be hard to love the parts in your partner that you don't support, because again, you may have your ideal way of thinking, okay, that's the proper way to act or have a lifestyle. But then if you don't love, just accept and respect that that person can, like, we are free, honestly. We don't own each other. We are together and we are supposed to build a relationship and partnership, but we cannot try to impose anything to anyone. But that has to be the conscious decision of a partner, whether, like, whatever case it might be. It can be whatever, like style of clothes or whatever we are eating, just anything. We just have to let go of that, because honestly it's really irrelevant in the connection. Like the whole depth is on this like spiritual sphere, or like a soul sphere, I think, and the rest can be adjusted. Like the way I see it is just that's happening in the proper time, but it comes not from we are imposing anything to anyone. we are just doing, I'm doing things and change for myself, and my partner is doing change for himself. And then it comes the natural way without pushing anything from either side.
Healing the trigger from your partner due to your own programming. Healing the triggers from your partner. Sometimes she sees things inside of me. Sometimes I see things inside of her. If that's what you mean, Rich, in there. But we are discussing it. We're talking about this, okay? Because sometimes the programming. Let me explain a little bit about the programming and talk about with this. Sometimes the programming leads you to a certain assumptions, and when the actions comes in, especially I'm talking about the repeated actions, what is the assumptions of the other side is. And for example, I did something very small for her, something very small, okay, and she took it in a different way, and she got triggered, and I'm like, oops, okay, something has to be worked on in here. I show her the other side. Sometimes you need to understand by doing a healing with the partner, you don't have to right away be like, oops, why are they acting like this? What is it going on? What is this? And you explain the other side of doing it. You need to understand to have the ability of controlling yourself with patience and a peace inside. You're not to react to this trigger, like all of a sudden they're triggered and they're like, what are you doing? You're trying to tell me something, you're trying to programming something, and you're like, whoops, I pushed the button, right? But you explain and you show the other side. Because the old programming, that is a one of the worst thing you're gonna be facing, but it's the best thing of overcoming. It's the best thing there. And let me tell you, when the person understands the same issues, different actions, that's when the love is born. All right. Ooh, do you still love each other? Oh, I was not expecting this question. We love
I
each
think we
other
do.
more and more
Especially,
every day. Yeah, go ahead.
but it all comes down from your self love, because like you have, like it really helps you. You know, it's once you're healing, anytime you're healing your trigger or you're healing anything within yourself, you're regaining your divine feminine and divine masculine parts in yourself. So that gives you this self love. It's like this machine that you start to produce more love within yourself, and of course you will be putting it out, and the other person will be doing the same. So then this love will start combining, and really we could feel that the more healing we've done, these energies are really starting to flow among each other. Like we are in a distance, we mentioned that, but it doesn't matter. Like, there is no limit on distance. It's just the connection is there, the telepathy is there, everything is there, and it just gets stronger and stronger once you remove these blockages from yourself. Like you just, that's why I'm saying, you know, I've said already a few times, like it's your responsibility to build this connection within yourself first, so the energy can flow properly. Because otherwise, like you will not be able to receive those connections from your partner too.
Yes, exactly. That part. The love within us grows every day, and we seeing it. We feeling it. It is. It's not the love as a vibrations the most people think. And let me explain what I'm saying. The most love you ever felt, probably that it's coming from the heart, from the emotions, from this attentions that you get, from the physical part, okay? Your understandings about love. But when a love is in this higher state within, it comes within the spirit, the soul, it comes down. It develops and change this programming. Okay, it rebuilds a new heart within you. It rebuilds a new emotions within you. Rebuilds a new intimacy and there, a new physicality, attractions. There is something different. Okay, but that is you will understand that the relationships, it's coming from up till down, not like before. You're building it from down to up. You're trying to get in there. And more we work, the more we love each other. And the love gets more crystal here in the spirit and the soul. And that reflects everything else. The more clear it gets here, the more clear it goes through everything. It goes through your eyes, through your heart. You begin to regenerate inside of yourself. The energy begins different. And every time you go south track, your body right away tells you, hey, buddy, you feel different vibrations. You're not in the right spot. But when the energy is great, you get the kundalinis all over your back, and you go in with the energies, and you get the goosebumps, and you're like, oh my God, what is going on with this? You're on the right path. And there. All right. We have Mora, Giuliano, and Raya. Thank you for coming in. The reward of healthy relationship is worth more than the works required to get to stay there. RL. The reward of healthy relationships is worth more than the work required to get and stay there. Interesting. How are you gonna say about that, darling?
I think that's true because it's, anytime, like that's what creates the safety in a relationship, and you feel like that will surface even on other relationships and that you have with other people because you're at peace. You're not only doing your self work, but it has other benefits too. So I would say the peace within the connection is the biggest one. Really feeling this confidence and support.
That is a pretty good because the support of the partner, you see the value there when the partner is supporting you. It's as Paulina said earlier. Okay, there is certain things that you can do on your own, but there is certain things you need to do with a partner. In that is it. The one thing, the support. The support is like if you're building a house, you can put a wood as a support and then build a concrete plate on the top of the wood. It will not sustain. But when the support from the both partners is built out of stones, of a concrete, of steel, and it's all put together in there, now you can put that plate of the house. Now you can build that first floor of the house because it's built on that healthy support from ground zero. From ground zero, because you've been all the way down. Now you're building yourself up. And there. Mora, thank you, dear Paulina and dear, for the explaining, because I had a selling session with Marla this week as well. Felt that it has been a block. So happy you're talking about this. You're welcome, Mora. We both appreciate you there. Paulina Dio is very good guy. I know it very good. Take care of him.
Okay, I will.
She does take care about me. She's just
He's doing a good job on himself. I'm just next to him.
same backwards. We care for each other more for each other. So, but Giuliano, thank you for the brother's care right there. All right. Do you guys have so any questions? If not, we're just gonna say kind of like a close the session down and If not, we're gonna be doing live like a once a week, pretty much the same time. So far, that's what it is. The other news is the workshop in Spain is still working on that project. So finalizing paperwork, I call it so far. But that's what this is. So as far as I see, there is no more questions.
Maybe we can just say that if you guys, because also for us, this is a kind of new situation, especially for Dio, because maybe with creating the topics for the discussions, like if there is some specific thing you would like us to talk about, you can just send us a message maybe on Facebook, or just try to reach us somehow, and just so we can know better like what you guys need, because that's helpful, like because we just realized we have like a lot of knowledge, but sometimes it can get sidetracked if there is no specific question. So that always helps if you're facing some issues and you just don't know how to overcome some things. Just let us know, and we will try to address that in the next sessions.
Chrissy B, hello, Dio and Paulina. You two are twin flames? Question mark. I did not know. You guys gonna come in and learn about the twin flames. It's a personal journey. We both graduated that journey with her. I don't want to sound like we did this magical, because when she and I we graduated that personality journey in there, we're not calling ourselves anymore twin flames. We graduate that part. Even the term twin flame within us is like, we're respecting you, all of you guys within the journey. It's not like we are that high and we are this so on and you guys are right there. Um, we graduate with this, and when we graduate, actually, we look at it. What kind of term we have to put? All we do is we call ourselves the divine partners, but mostly it's like partners. Today somebody told me and called me, hey, is it Paulina is your girlfriend? You know what, guys, I replied in that message? I say she's my partner from the divine. Okay? This is what we are. We did not know too much about the connections until you guys know me. I never watched what other twin flames people does or posted on the YouTube and so on. I didn't watch, for example, Mel. But actually, Mel explained our connections to the last details. But you need to understand of your journey with you and your partner. When you get there, your guidance is going to be given you from the divine, and the divine's going to give you the informations in there and so on. So it doesn't matter if you call yourself a twin flame, ascension partner, divine partnership, and so on within. Those are just the labels. Okay, those are just the labels. As long as you guys understanding one very crucial, important things, which is right now within the twin flame community, it is passing the trauma and drama between within suffering within all this. We get away from that. We graduate from that trauma. We graduate from that trauma in there. Mel, it's calling it those are graduates. Okay, those are graduates within the journey. For as far as like our YouTube twin flames, we are twin flames who graduated. We are in a divine union. We are understanding what the divine union is. If we have to be on more of this perspective, at the same time, we're telling you guys at the beginning of the separations, the ending of the bubble zone, to that point of you trusting the divine union to bring you a partner, you're on your own. It's your own personal journey, guys. But a lot of the people, a lot of the trauma that it's bring it in there. Oh, my twin flame this, oh, my twin flames that. Oh, I'm waiting on him, I'm waiting on her. He needs to do this, she needs to do that. until you don't fix this thing inside. We want to bring you the energies of the graduations of the twin flame personality journey in there. It doesn't matter what our label is to you. I can tell you we are in twin flames, but we are more than just a twin flame. We have to investigate the things in the twin flames. We have to go through the scriptures. As Paulina said, if you guys know how much information she have with both of us to help you, we only need the specific questions. You guys remember when I started doing the live chats with so much information? Now we both have that information. All we asking is the questions to help you. What can we help you guys? We are here for you. And I want to say one thing that I admire Paulina about being with me on that. I love her for what she's doing this, understanding all this, because we both been within the journey together. Yeah, we connected a year and a half ago. We understanding what happens between us back there, like a year ago, and so on. But we both decide, no, that connection is not. If it's meant to be, will be. We just leave it there. And we both separate. We both went out in our own journey. We both out to heal ourselves. We both didn't look for the relationships. But the divine orchestrated the union. Divine. And we both respected the divine union put us together. So if I have to tell you if you're a twin flame, practically no. Are you a divine partnership or you're in divine union? I will say yes. So I could be more politically correct in there. But this is why we are doing all this for you guys. We want to show you not only vibrations, not only energies in there. We've been on that road. We know what took to get to there. We help you to go on that road so the journey can be easy for you. But ultimately, it's your inner work that you have to do. Yes, it's not easy, but we're here for you. So, yeah. And it says here, no longer using the title twins, but honoring the connections. That's wonderful. Yes, Chrissy B, we're honoring that. It is part of life. It's the same thing we are honoring the soul connection. It's the same thing we're honoring relationships. They all have one thing in common, two people coming together. Same as the divine connections. You cannot go ahead and like, okay, we are a divine union, we are a divine partnership. This label, twin flame, what is this? Or not putting everything under the one thing. Everything has their one base. Two people coming together in some kind of ship. Relationships, situationships, energy ships, emotional ship, okay, cruise ship, if they travel together, okay. But we're not. But when we're talking about soul connections, and soul connections is everything from relationships to the divine union and above with the divine. It's all there. You can't take out soulmates out of the soul connections. You can't take out twin flames out of the soul connections. You can't take the divine partnerships out of there. And you can't take the regular karmic relationships, because the karmic relationships set you on the base for the spirituality. So it's all in one bowl. We are all oneness. When we're talking about oneness, actually great about these questions that is there, and it triggers, but you have to honor all this because that is your journey. You can't be mad of the wrong things. You can't be mad of the wrong people who did not want it to be next to you. But it's your job to heal yourself. And when you get the right person, you don't have to beg the person to do things. They do it naturally on their own. And that is the beauty of the graduations. Your understanding of why you're here. How did you get here? What did it cost you? How many fights did you win? What was your journey? And then how you can fulfill your missions helping others. I call that dignity with God, dignity within the divine, dignity within your own soul. It is a perspectives in there. And I'm happy to have Paulina as my partner on this, under the divine, because they help us a lot. They put us in this state that I cannot even explain. You can call it serenity, inner peace, you can call it state of paradise, and so on. We have to go ahead and research Adam and Eve. What did they didn't solve? So she and I, we can heal that. To that point, they help us there. So, but thank you, Chrissy B. Yes, we're respecting that. Does the dream play in a role of in the twin flame union? Darling, you want to take that out? I'm not to try.
Oh, actually, I recorded a video about it. Woohoo! On our new channel. You can search. Our new channel is called Aqua Spirit United, and I recorded the video on exactly the same. Oh, yeah, it's there. I recorded a video especially at that topic, so you can get more information there. But in general, yes, it helps you a lot to navigate your journey, and you can get a lot of insights or on where you're standing with your personal journey. Like, you just cannot take it too much of a personal. You have to take it with a grain of salt, I think, but it can help you. Like, just don't get over excited about them, and don't tie them to the specific person always. But they can be useful.
Talking about the dreams, into the connection, you have to look at the dreams. They are coming from your programming. They're coming from your wants, needs, demands, or I would say it's more from your codependency state of mind, or they are coming deeply from the soul. Because when they coming naturally, the dreams inside of it, and you sharing the dreams in there, all of a sudden, or for example, if the one person said something and the other person said the same thing, whole another situations, but it's the same thing. Talking about then you know the connections. But when people have the dreams, you're sharing your dreams with your partner, because of you will understand that I spoke about this before. When the consciousness exchange through the mirroring neurons within the brain, portions of their consciousness stays within you, and portions of your consciousness stays within your partner. So you can have a connections with your partner on different conversations than you have with them, because the consciousness that it's inside of you, of them, is talking to you in your own consciousness. It's same thing, my consciousness talking to her. That's what she has, like what is it called? It's like internal meeting. Like you have that internal meeting with the other person from within you. Then when you talk, sometimes the meeting is the same, but sometimes the meeting can be different. But it's a meeting, because that brings things inside of it, of the progress. Okay, sometimes the meeting is going to be very beautiful. It shows up the higher self. For example, she's in her lower self and my higher self talking to her, but at the same time her higher self comes in. It's like, hey, you need to help me on my lower self. So I'm going in there and talk to her to bring her up, to make the bounce. It's the same time she sees me down, her higher self comes to my dream. It's like, it's gonna be good. I'm here. I'm healing you. I'm next to you. I love those dreams. Okay? I love it. I share it with her, but it's that like this. So
Yeah, but
is the
anytime
dreams
I think
help?
we are
Yes.
yeah, they help, and also we just have to remember that dreams are just the projections of the energy. So it's just however our minds needs to put this energy into picture. That's what we are getting sometimes, and of course, like that will be translated to the specific person because it has to be just that's how our mind translates the current energy state in our cells. That's how I see it. And but sometimes you can get messages through that. Even I was getting very interested. It was getting more and more interesting because at some point I realized that I was reading things from Dio's mind. Like there were some things that he was researching like 2 weeks. I don't know when we were researching that, but I had a dream exactly on the same topic, and he was just showing me that in dreams. So that was very very interesting, like interactions during dream state too.
Mora, thank you. This is extremely helpful, dear. I really appreciated this. Mora, again, thank you, Paulina. We thank you
Welcome.
guys for and yeah, as we said, write us the questions for a topic or something interesting, something we can help you with. How can you graduate this journey as a twin flame? We've been there. We knew what it takes. We okay. We got it. It's done. Boom. But to close down the today's sessions is about like your unhealed portions. They're gonna become triggers within the relationships. But to remember one thing, okay, or one person can find you in peace and broke you, but the right person can find you broke and they can put you in pieces. And you are gonna be valuing in this inside of yourself. And healing within the spirit, within the soul connections is gonna be incredibly, incredibly powerful because it's evolved the love. The love can heal everything in there. And as we said in the video, be a vulnerable, be a truthful, be a honest, have the patience inside of you, and don't take things personally. Period. Okay, because if you take it personally, things go south. Okay, and don't do anything forcefully in any way or matter, subconscious, conscious energies, emotions, or anything. The beauty of the connection is naturally following the beauty of the connections naturally path. That's beautiful. So I give you the mic if you wanna finish
Yeah,
the
thank
things
you
up.
everyone for listening. Yeah, I think it's helpful for you guys. And if you have any other questions, just feel free to contact us. And yeah, I'm looking forward to the next session. We'll see about the topic.
All right, guys. Thank you so much. We love you. Let me give you some love and light from us, and I give you this. All right, you guys. Be love, be peace, and love yourself. That will help you. By loving yourself, you also can love another person.